Good evening, Javier Franco, Perspective from My Porch, Steps for Success, Life Coach Founder. Um, on Tuesday, I was talking about obstacles that come into our lives, uh, and this is the Thursday edition of my Steps for Success. I will tell y'all that I started out doing them on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I'll stop for a while, but I'm going to go ahead and start doing it Tuesday and Thursday. My schedule's a little bit more clearer now, so I'll be able to do this. Once again, on Tuesday, I was talking about obstacles that are in our lives and the different obstacles that we encounter as individuals. I think the biggest obstacle that we encounter is fear. Fear is one of those things that is normal to a certain extent. Fear is going to be there. The fear of failure, the fear of the what ifs, the fear of what will people say, and that's a big one. The fear of what if I don't succeed? What are people going to say? The fear of what if I go broke? And that's a big fear. Uh, the fears that we have, we must be able to overcome them at some point. This week, as I was talking to one of my clients, I was telling him uh, obstacles are made to be overcome. We all have that obstacle in our lives that we just don't seem to be able to get over. We just don't seem able to conquer it. There's an old spiritual that says, I'm climbing up on the rough side of the mountain. Uh, I heard an analogy about that. It says if we climb up the easy part of the mountain, then we don't have a foothold. That we're gonna fall back. But when we climb up the rough side of the mountain, we have a lot of crevices and a lot of footholds that we can climb up on, and we can hold on to, and we can stand and see the obstacles before us. Basically, once again, I go back to one of my favorite authors, Og Mandino, and if you haven't read Og Mandino, I recommend his books, and they're not very long books. I'm not advertising for him. I'm just telling you that those are great books to read. Og Mandino. In one of his books, he says the steps for success. Uh, the failures are stepping stones to success. As we climb up that rough side of the mountain, as we climb up in making a difference in our lives, we're going to run into problems. One of the things that I talk to a lot of people is about how they feel about themselves, how they think about themselves, how they see themselves in the mirror. A thing that I tell people to do is look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and look at yourself straight in the eye. Even as I'm doing these videos, it's hard for me to look at myself on the camera and just look at myself because I see all the faults that I have. But the thing about it is that once we learn to look at ourselves, once we are able to see our faults, we are able to fix those faults, and we are able to overcome those faults. I go back to the thing about loving yourself more than anybody else. I go to the fact that we have to overcome that obstacle. I think that's one of the biggest obstacles we have to come is the fear of self. I make a lot of mistakes. Trust me, I've made a lot of mistakes. And as I've done my businesses, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've told y'all the other day, this is the first year, my first anniversary of the Steps for Success. And I have made a lot of mistakes. But at the same time, I've been guided by people who know about success, they've overcome those problems. And I'm not going to go to somebody who failing, and they never change their behavior. I'm going to go to somebody who fails, changed the behavior, and became a better person. I think when we look at ourselves as individuals, I think that obstacle when we look at ourselves in the mirror, or we look at ourselves as we're doing our job, uh, and we see failure, we say, well, I can't do this, I can't do this. There's things that I cannot do, but I put my mind to it. It might take me 2 or 3 days, but I study the situation And then when I study the situation, I figure out a way to do it. Now, there's a lot of times that I will have to ask for help, which is not a biggie. We have to learn how to ask for help. When we learn to ask for help, that's when we are coming to the understanding that we can do it, except that we need somebody to guide us or somebody to help us get over that mountain. The fear of what people think, once again, in our businesses, the fear of, well, what if, what if, that's a big fear. Obstacles are meant to be overcome. What obstacles are you looking at? What obstacles are overcoming you and you not overcoming them? We all have those obstacles. We have to overcome them. Obstacles cannot overcome us. We have to look at ourselves. We have to look and see what it is that we need to change about ourselves. We need to see what it is that we need to change. And we have to accept advice. One of the hardest things that I have to do is accept advice. When somebody comes up to me, especially my family, when they come up to me and they say, you need to do this, you should do this, you should do this, at some point it gets frustrating. But you know what? They're just looking now for the better of me, to make me better, and to promote me, and to show me how to promote myself. And once I've learned to start accepting that, and I accept the fact that they're right, things start changing. And it's like there's a different perspective. There's a different view. I've talked to y'all about one of my favorite shows, Dead Poets Society. Robin Williams is an instructor, and he tells his students to get up on top of a desk and look at the room from a different view. If I ask you to stand up on your kitchen table or wherever you are right now, look at your kitchen, look at your room from a different angle. And when you stand up on there, you're going to have a different perspective of your room. When you stand up on a roof, you're going to have a different perspective of your neighborhood. I'm not asking you to go get on top of roofs. I'm not asking you to get on top of tables. What I'm asking you is get a different view of what's going on around you. Literally reformat your thinking, rethink everything. Whatever business you're in. I'm thinking of one friend in particular, and she is so successful. And I wish I could mention her name, but I'm not gonna mention it because I don't have permission. But I see her as a very successful person in the business that she's in. She has to constantly battle obstacles that come around. And as she's battling these obstacles, I see her more and more powerful. And I see her very confident. And that's what we have to do to each other. We have to tell ourselves that we are the best, that we are the greatest. Muhammad Ali, for instance. Muhammad Ali kept saying, I am the greatest, I am the greatest and greatest. People did not like him because he kept saying, I'm the greatest. But guess what? He was the greatest. I love hearing his speeches. I love hearing his talks because he constantly tells you, you have to believe in yourself. As you overcome these obstacles, and I'm sorry for going a little bit over my time, but as you look at these obstacles that you have, how are you going to overcome them? How are you going to go over them? Remember, obstacles are made to be overcome. Obstacles are not made to overcome us. Once again, we go back to how much we love ourselves and how much do we believe in ourselves. How much do you believe in yourself? Are you willing to take that chance and become a better person? Are you willing to take a chance and change things about your life? Are you willing to say to certain friends, you know what? You're negative. You can stick around, but you know what? I'm going to move on. If you're not there with me, I'm sorry. I'm going to get some new friends who are successful. And like I said, sometimes family and friends are going to be the people who are going to stop us. Love yourself more than anybody else. And when you love yourself more than anybody else, nobody can stop you and your goals. I'll talk to y'all next week. Love y'all, each and every one of y'all.